are very familiar with Cara Silletto and Crescendo Strategies. They've come twice to our center to give us really good sessions on retention. And when they reached out and said they had a new session that really focused on some of the issues that we're facing right now with COVID and thinking about the future, I thought this would be a great session for us. So I'm not going to take too much more time. I want to go ahead and turn it over. Jess is going to be the kind of the master of logistics here and muting us and so on. And I'm going to turn it over to her for the rest of the session. Thanks.
Yep. Thanks, Cindy. I appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. Again, my name is Jess Ray, and I am workforce strategist with Cara Silletto's team. And I'll be producing and moderating today's interactive virtual session titled Realistic Employee Retention Strategies in a New Work World. So before we get started, just a couple virtual housekeeping items, as well as how to participate in today's session. We will be recording today's session for members who could not be here. If you have video capabilities, again, please try and turn that on. We want to see your faces. This is going to be kind of a different session that perhaps you're used to. If you have questions throughout, there's a little chat bar that you can open up that we encourage you to send in any questions. We already have one that I see that's going to be, this is going to run an hour. So just to let you guys know, you'll type in your questions, send those in to me. If you have any questions or technical challenges, you can send those to me as well. If we don't have time to respond, no worries, we'll certainly follow up with you after today's session. Additional resources can be found at magnetvault.com, and I'll throw that in the chat box here in a moment. If you sign up, you'll receive some valuable generational and retention strategies along with some templates and tools that you can get for free. Now, I'd like to introduce our speaker, Cara Silletto. And Cara Silletto is the workforce thought leader and keynote speaker on all things retention. She is committed to helping her clients reduce unnecessary employee turnover by bridging generational gaps, making leaders more effective in their roles. And Workforce Magazine named her a game changer, and Recruiter.com named her in their top 10 company culture experts to watch. So with that said, Cara, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So a few of you may be a little confused. We have all this stuff called Magnet now, the Magnet Vault. You see Magnet Culture under my name and Jess's name. We're rebranding. So later this month, you will actually, most of you are probably on our email list if you've seen me at previous events, but we're changing our name from Crescendo Strategies to Magnet Culture, where it's easier to get and keep people. So really excited about that. Just wanted to clarify in case anybody's wondering where all the magnet stuff is coming from, that's what's happening. So the first question I want to ask you all today, like Jess said, this is going to be much more interactive than what I typically do. I don't know how interactive your sessions you've attended have been, but I'm going to be asking you a lot of questions and getting your feedback. We are also going to go into breakout rooms today and have little small group discussions so we can brainstorm some new ideas and really talk to like-minded folks about what's going on. So that's why we'd really love for you to have a video on. If you had to call in today, you'll still be able to participate, but if by chance you can get to a laptop or computer, that would be fantastic. So the first question I want to ask you is, okay, be honest with me. How engaged do you plan to be for the next hour? All right, so in the chat bar, I want you to put, we're going to do 1 to 10. A 1 is I am not. Somebody told me to be here. I have you on in the background and I am doing other things. And a 10 is I am totally with you, Cara, 100%. I'm staring at your picture. Let's do this, right? I'm in, okay? And you don't have to be a 10. I'm not trying to tell people they have to be there because I'll be honest, I have a kiddo that is here somewhere. And so, you know, I understand other people have things going on. There we go. We got some honesty from Elise, 5. 8, 10 after coffee. All right, Holly, go get your coffee. There she is. Okay. Fantastic. Okay. 6. All right. I really just want to ask so that I have realistic expectations of the level of engagement that I can expect from you guys. So fantastic. Okay. Wonderful. And then, so my next question is, what did you come here To learn. Kat said she was going to be a 1. Yeah, right, Kat. I know you. You're super engaged all the time. No, that's great. Okay, so the next question, what did you come here to learn today? Why did you sign up for this class? What are you really hoping that you take away? Is it more on the recruiting side? Is it retention stuff? Was there something specific in the description that really drew you in? Was it just because you're a friend of mine and wanted to be here? So type in the chat, why did you come today, or what exactly were you hoping to learn, hoping to get out of this session? Because again, I want to make sure I understand everybody's expectations and what's going on today. So, okay, post-COVID retention, gaining trust. Okay, after the furlough, sure. There we go. Always open to suggestions, learning new strategies, retention. Okay, how we can be of service to employers. Okay, fantastic. Fantastic. Retention, 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 retention. Okay, gotcha. Getting our employees engaged, take ownership. Okay, recruiting and retention, fighting against government pay. Absolutely. Okay, we're going to talk about that. Reassurance, certainly hope to validate some of your concerns or issues or ideas that you have coming. Okay, fantastic. So I'm going to try not to share a ton of PowerPoint today, and so that you don't have a big giant PowerPoint and a little bitty Cara in the corner. But if you do prefer to see at least a larger picture. Many of you might know the difference between gallery view and speaker view in Zoom, but in case you don't, you either have gallery view, which is what we call the Brady Bunch, or you have speaker view, which is going to put whoever's talking, usually me, it's going to put me as the big screen. So up in the right corner of your screen, you can change that by clicking the view that you want. So if you want speaker view, click that. If you want gallery view or Brady Bunch, click that. And that will allow you to switch back and forth. If you want to see, for example, everybody's answers and pretty faces, or if you just want to see me talking, that's fine too. More like you're watching a video. So, all right. So first off, for those of you who I can see, how many of you have seen me before? Talk about retention, talk about other things. Okay. Handful of folks. All right. Great. So a few things that I'm going to talk about today might be a refresher for you if you've heard my retention strategies in the past, but I certainly have prepared a lot of new stuff for today and want to have a more relevant, right? We say COVID relevant conversation now that so much has changed. So first things first, if you think about the market, sometimes just like the real estate market, there's a buyer and seller advantage. So just the same is true with the employment market. Sometimes it's an employer's market, sometimes it's an employee's market, and that changes based on who's hiring and who's unemployed or looking for a job. So we just recently had this huge shift, and you would think that with all kinds of people now on unemployment and all kinds of people having lost their job, you would think that the employers have the advantage, right? Because, hey, we have jobs and they're looking, but we have some issues with that, don't we? We have some problems that have caused us really a ton of headache right now. So what I'm seeing is the lower the wages, the harder it is to find people right now. Now that it's kind of generic, like that has always been the case, but particularly right now, the lower the wages that you're paying, the harder it is to get people, especially those who are unemployed, to come in and work for us. I'm not seeing as much trouble with the higher paid positions like engineers and marketing or jobs like that as much as I am. It's really, really hard to get the less skilled or lower paid folks in and to stay where we are. So, of course, the cost of turnover now, you're looking at, for frontline workers, the calculations we've done with our clients typically show it's at least $5,000 or $10,000 if somebody walks out the door. Okay, that's for just somebody who knows how to do their job independently and it's not like they didn't show up for day 3. You know, they've been out on the line for a while. They know how to do the job, but then they decide to just walk away. So easily 5 to 10,000, if not more. And a lot of that comes from overtime, using temp agencies, you know, other things, quality problems that are caused because I got a bunch of newbies on the line and they're not doing things right, or we have more errors, more quality issues and things like that. If you're looking at office and management type positions, we can easily calculate a $15,000 to $25,000 loss if that person walks out the door and we have to recruit and replace them. So just some real bottom line numbers for you all, especially if you are trying to go to if you're trying to go to your CFO or CEO or your board to try to get approval for, I've got to do more management training, I've got to revamp our onboarding or make more videos for this or that, or whatever money you need to do things better, use those cost of turnover numbers as your ammo. Okay, that's part of the conversation. Look, we're already losing this money as it walks out the door. Why don't we spend that money on better initiatives for better recruiting and retention, and then we won't see those dollars just walk away. All right. So I am going to share this, this slide with you guys. Give me just a second here. Okay, share my screen and pop this up. Okay, you guys see that? Can I get a thumbs up? You see? Okay, excellent. All right, so we have this recruiting frenzy going on right now. Okay, so like I said, we're seeing all kinds of businesses start to hire. Also, we know that our competition is not always just the manufacturing place down the street, right? Because a lot of our workers will industry hop. They might go over to food service or hospitality or something else, healthcare. I mean, I've seen people pop in and out of manufacturing and healthcare, things like that, for different types of jobs, different opportunities. So right now we're seeing this recruiting frenzy, and it's going to become even more as the states open up more and more, right? Kentucky and Indiana, I happen to be on the Indiana side of the river, and we're opening up a little bit faster than the Kentucky side of the river, but I'm already seeing tons of places that have the now hiring signs out. You know, they just did layoffs or furloughs not too long ago, but all of a sudden, come back, right? They're screaming for their people to come back. So what I want you to do now is I'm going to pop up these 3 things here. I want to know what you are seeing as the biggest recruiting problem you are facing. Is it number 1, the extra $600 that people are getting on unemployment? Is it number 2, a lack of affordable childcare for your workers, meaning they can't take their kids anywhere, they can't find anywhere, the grandparents aren't available because they're vulnerable to COVID, right? Is it childcare issues? Or is it 3, the fear of exposure to COVID is why people aren't taking the jobs or, you know, looking to come back? So if I can see your video, just hold up your fingers, 1, 2, 3. If I can't, just put it in the chat bar. Okay, so extra money, yep. Number 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, so a lot of folks, it's 1, 1, and 2. Okay, gotcha. Okay, 1, 1, and 2, 1 and 2. Okay, right. So what I have seen talking to all kinds of clients in all different industries is that if you're paying folks less than, I haven't done the actual math, but I'm going to guess around the $16 mark. If you're paying folks less than $16 an hour, give or take, they are making more on unemployment. And so that's a huge issue that we have for folks coming back. For anybody who, I'm sure you guys are keeping up with this, but there is talk right now. Of course, the House and the Senate are fighting back and forth whether to extend that $600 a week. And of course, as employers, we're saying, no, don't do that because we need people to come back to work. But the White House has been throwing around the idea of doing a back to work bonus. So there's talk of that. I would definitely keep up to date with the news and what's going on with the Congress decisions and the administration on what that's going to look like, because there's now a big push to do a back to work bonus of some kind. It hasn't been defined yet. But A, I would keep your eye on that as far as what the government is or isn't going to do about it. But B, what about doing that at your company? If you haven't already decided, already been thinking about that or had that opportunity, if it really is the $600 that's the deal breaker for people, can you either match it or at least offer some kind of pullback bonus, a back to work bonus, like a sign-on bonus of sorts for that, if that's really your barrier. Okay. Now, if that's not the only barrier, we're going to talk about lots of other things, but just keep that in mind, that the $600 a week thing could be combated with some extra pay or extra bonuses just for that brief time, assuming that that ends at the end of July, right? We're 6 weeks out from that ending. I do expect, if they decide not to extend that $600 past July, I do expect a huge candidate pool to become available at the mid to late July, because people are all of a sudden going to go, oh crap, I don't want just unemployment. I wanted unemployment plus the 600, so then they'll start to come back. So hopefully, if that's your issue, then we absolutely need to think about, we only have a few weeks of that being the problem. So this is also absolutely, as Leah mentioned, this is absolutely another reason why we need to look at wage increases. I will tell you that if you were already behind on pay before COVID hit, if you were already behind as far as behind the market, or you hadn't done pay increases in a long time, if you have not been at livable wages, okay, at $14, $15, $16 for your lowest paid folks, if you were not already there, let me equate that to, if somebody is already just trying to keep their head above water, right? And then the big surge, floodwaters come in, you're done, right? If we were already like, oh, it was already so hard to get and keep people because we were barely paying enough to stay afloat, right? If you were in that situation, then COVID just exacerbated that whole situation. And now it's near impossible for recovery. But if you were just waiting, if you were like, yeah, no, we're okay. I mean, we don't pay the best, but we pay pretty well. We're keeping up with market and things like that. If you're just waiting and then the surge comes in, then maybe you get to this point where you're, okay, we're just trying to keep our head above water until this $600 thing goes away. Right? So that is a conversation that you need to be having with the senior leaders, that look, we had been talking about these wages before COVID even hit. And now you've kind of tied my hands because we're not where we need to be. And this, I will tell you, there will be businesses that go out of business, not just because of COVID and because of, supply chain issues and things like that, but there will be businesses that go out of business because their business model does not allow them to raise the wages to appropriate levels to get and keep their people. Does this make sense? Does this make sense? Yes. Okay. I'm getting some head nods. I'm getting some things. I don't mean to be harsh about this, but this should be at the top of your CEO's mind right now of, does our business model work post COVID, right? The labor costs, low wages and high wages, they've all been increasing over the years because of the market. And so now we got to put our money where our mouth is and be serious about being attractive to these people. Okay. So really, really important that we look at how attractive we are, and not just pay, but also what else are you doing? What else makes you more attractive than the place down the street? Certainly money matters right now to folks. I mean, money always matters to some extent. And certainly right now, it is a math equation for some people, but also I want to think about, have you been training your managers? Have you been investing in the training of new hires and that new hire experience? Or is it not a great experience for folks coming in? Are the supervisors not great? We're going to talk about some of those things a little bit later in the hour here. But what I would like for you to do first is we're going to send you guys out to breakout rooms, maybe 4 or 5 people, Jess, per breakout room. Okay. So we're going to send you all to breakout rooms, and this is not a complain session. Okay. Please don't spend your time going in and telling your friends, oh, well, here's my problems and here's why I can't get over it. Okay. We're going to stay positive today in the breakout sessions, and we're going to say, if we had a magic wand, like, what could we do? Let's just brainstorm, what could we do? If we could get the board's approval, if we could get the CEO's blessing, if we could do things differently, what could that look like? And then maybe some of you in your room might have some things that they've changed to make themselves more attractive. Okay. I'm thinking about things like, let me give you some examples here before we break out. PTO changes or increases, schedule changes, or the shift length, the shift start and end time. Have you looked at any of that stuff? If everybody else down the street is offering 5/8 a week, could you offer 4/10s or 3/12s, or vice versa, right? Maybe you were doing the 4 and the 3 and 4 day, and you need to go the other route because people are having childcare problems, for example. Okay, so PTO, schedules, other perks, any kind of carrots that you can or have put out there for people to incentivize them. That's not just money, but anything beyond that. Is anybody doing childcare? Really ramping up how you can do those things. So we'll talk about a few more of these as we come out of the breakout session, but I'm going to give you guys about 5 minutes to go into your group and talk positively about ideas. Just brainstorm and see what you can come up with. All right. So we will call you back to this room when you're finished, and you just hit the leave breakout room when you're done. All right. So have fun. We'll see you in a few minutes. Hit join breakout room when that pops up. All right, we've got folks slowly coming back from the breakout rooms here.
So that's where we are right now.
I don't feel like
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, we got everybody back in the main room, I think.
Great.
Oh,
Awesome. There we go. Yeah, sorry for those on the phone. You guys, thanks for joining us by phone. You can't see the little 1-minute warning that we sent to everybody that's on video. So sorry about that. Thank you guys so much for doing that. So I'd love to hear from a few of you. If you want to either unmute and tell us something that was really, eye-opening for you, or a best practice somebody shared, or if you want to type it in the chat, if you prefer to do that, that's fine. So I'm going to give you a second to unmute. Yes, Britta's got one. Go ahead.
Yeah, in our group, we talked about, what are the challenges, and Tom Nichols mentioned that his is a summer-oriented business, HVAC, and that now is their go time. They really need their staff, and they have a range of salaries of low skill to skilled tradespeople in their industry. He's ahead of the curve here. For most people are wanting to come back to work now that they need them. And for those that were resistant, they were offering an additional bonus for those people to sign on. And then we asked a key question. We said, is this bonus to come back just for the resistors, or are you doing this for everybody? Mm-hmm. And he, as a wise man, said, no, this is for everybody, because the realization is when word would get out that those squeaky wheels or just those resistors were getting that additional revenue. The other point we talked about was the long-term effect for the culture of the organization, whether this should have a very positive impact on loyalty and a sense of appreciation. And he certainly said that that was where he was going. So that was brilliant.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. All right. Who else wants to share something that is working or a big question that came up? Anything else?
Hey, Cara, it's Leah.
Yes.
We were talking about the fact that so many times we put into place things that we corporate-wide think are the priority, and we forget to actually ask people what it is that's important to them.
Oh, big shocker. Yes, yes, yeah. So don't make your decisions. Thank you, Leah. Absolutely. Don't make your decisions based on what the executives think or what the HR team thinks. Instead, we really have to be out there asking folks, don't make assumptions right now. That is a huge, huge problem. You know, with the folks that have children on my team, I am talking to each one of them. Okay, tell me about your situation. How can we work on this with your schedule? And, you know, whether it's different hours, different shifts, you know, do you need to go part-time for a while? Like whatever it is, we're talking with those people. You know, we're small, so we can do one-on-one, but if you need to, you know, really go to the people and talk to them, or survey if you're a larger company, that type of thing for sure right now. Just do little pulse surveys. It doesn't have to be like a big giant survey that's massive and cumbersome, but just send little text questions out to people, that type of thing, to gather the valid information you're looking for. Okay. All right. Anything else on the
Can I?
activeness side? Yeah.
Yes.
Alex.
So, hi, Cara.
Hey, good to see you.
Good to see you as well. So what we started doing recently is we included in our new hire packet fun facts about you, where we ask them like their favorite beverage, their favorite video game,
Yes.
book, movie, restaurant, one or two things you dislike, what are your personal goals, tell us about their family, and then at the bottom we have how do you like your hard work recognized. Then we have high five, shout out on the monitors, performance reviews, a couple other things, and then the last question is, what incentives motivate you to do your best work? Is it gifts, prizes, time off, office parties, or flexibility, growth opportunities? My struggle, though, is that my supervisors don't necessarily. Thank you. They don't necessarily pay attention to it as much as I wish they would.
Gotcha.
Walkie-talkies, manufacturing.
You're fine. You're fine. Hey, this is our reality, right? So
Right.
I appreciate you, you multitasking as best you can here. Okay. So yes, absolutely. If you guys do not have that in place, we've been teaching that for a while. Have a get to know you sheet of some kind. Lisa's asking Alex if you don't mind sharing your sample. She gave a thumbs up. So if you'll send that to Cindy Reed, and I bet Cindy will get it out to everybody. Actually, if you'll send it to me too, Alex, that'd be awesome, because I can put it in our follow-up email as well. So yeah, we'll get that sample out. But yes, put in there, you know, things about them. Of course, we can't ask people during the interviews, are you married? Do you have children, right? That's illegal. But after you hire them, you can say, tell me about your family and, you know, your hobbies on the weekends and things like that. And the supervisors, as I think she was kind of alluding to, the supervisors don't always see as much value in that. But of course, most of the HR folks that I talk to do. So make sure that you are also educating the managers and supervisors on why you ask those questions at the bottom of how you want to be recognized, and, you know, how you want your feedback given to you and things like that. So absolutely put that sheet together for the new hires. This is actually a great segue, because the next section I was going to talk about is about the new hire experience and how absolutely critical that is today. Because do any of you, by a show of hands, or you can type in the chat, how many of you have had people accept a job and they don't show up? Anybody? They get offers, yes, okay, and they don't show up. Then how about, do you have some people who show up the first few days or even first few weeks and then they don't come back? Hands up, anybody? Yes. Anybody? We got some of those, right? So a lot of times that could be impacted by that new hire experience that they are having. So I've got a few questions for you to consider as you improve your new hire experience for folks. One is your day one truly welcoming? Okay. Now, one of our clients, she said that they were doing their onboarding for day one on a job site. This was more of a construction, so it wasn't, internal manufacturing like you guys have, but they were on a job site for construction, and they would literally say, like, meet me at 5th and Jefferson at 6 a.m. Monday. And then they would do their paperwork on the hood of a car and stick it in their back pocket and give it to HR the next day when they popped into the office, right? The HR person was like, yeah, they're all crumpled up. They're dirty. It's crazy. And how do you think that person felt about that day one experience? And then, oh, by the way, after they signed their name several times, they were handed a shovel. Like, here, just start helping that guy over there, that type of thing. So we really have to think about what is their day one experience coming in. And we really, really encourage you to think about what is day one on their team. So you may have control over the corporate day one, the internal company day one, where we're going to talk about who we are and, why we do what we do and how your role fits into that, right, guys? Wink, wink, right? You're already doing that. We're going to talk about the culture and how important their role is, as well as the compliance and the checklist things that we have to cover. But then when we hand them over to their team, what does that look like, folks? How effective are those supervisors and managers at taking on a new staff member? Are they harsh to them? Are they kind to them? Are they a great mentor to them, a coach? Or are they just doing their job? Oh, yeah, I got another guy. I don't know. His name's Joe, Jim, something. I don't know. He's over there on the line. Like, just put him somewhere, right? We cannot let the supervisors and managers treat folks that way. So make sure that not only your HR orientation is really solid and more engaging and fun and, as exciting as you can make it, but also how are they being treated once they get on their team? I also cannot stress enough, folks, don't let anyone eat their young. Okay? We cannot let people bully. We cannot let people, say, oh, well, you haven't earned your stripes, so you get all the grunt work this week and things like that. We cannot let folks push your new hires away because we are in a desperate situation to get and keep these people that we need to hit our numbers. Okay. So make sure that if you guys know that that's happening. I mean, if it is, where it's happening, which departments have the biggest, fastest revolving door of churn because no one wants to work for that guy. Okay. Or no one wants to work on that person's team, that kind of thing. We have got to squash that because that person is costing you tons of hours and, more importantly to your CFO, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars that one bad apple, that toxic person is costing the organization. So it's time to address that. And if you can, separate that person from any new hires. Don't let them mentor, don't let them coach, don't let them be on the team of a new hire, don't let them have access to your new hires. If you really need to ultimately separate them from the organization completely, that may be needed if you can't just isolate the new hires from any toxic, toxic folks across the company. So really, really take a serious look at that because you may be trying as hard as you can to recruit and all this stuff. And I found some people, they're willing to take a job and they're great people. This is fantastic. And then you hand them over, all your hard work goes down the drain because it wasn't a place where they wanted to work, because that's not somebody I want to work for. Okay. And they will absolutely walk out the door. So If you have not, and again, I know we're super busy, but some things to think about and put on your priority list is, have you updated your handbook with some new procedures, new policies and things? Of course, because of COVID, we now have tons of more safety type of issues that we're dealing with. Speaking of safety, I would make that like your banner of recruiting and retention is safety here. Because even though you may have done that in the past, people need to hear exactly what you are doing. Thing 1, thing 2, thing 3, thing 4, exactly what you're doing to keep your folks safe. Not only safe on the job, steel toe boots and OSHA requirements, but we're talking COVID stuff. So I will tell you, I have a son that is going back to school, hopefully in August, and I'm very fearful. I'm very fearful about, how much exposure he's going to have. And then the school had a call. And they said, we're putting in new air ventilators that are better. They said we are letting all the students go in straight into their classroom from the back doors instead of all the students going in the front doors of the school. And they're building new sidewalks that go around the building back to the back doors where they can go directly into their classrooms. So that's fantastic, right? Less touching of doors by 400 kids, that kind of thing. They talked about staggered scheduling. They talked about the wipe down, what they're doing for the deep cleaning, right? We can say, oh, we're sanitizing, we're deep cleaning. People want to know what you mean by that, okay? I'm not joking. They want to know the details of, we are cleaning all of these things. The school also pulled things out of the classrooms to have less things for kids to touch, especially in the kindergarten and preschool area. They said, we're cutting the activities in the room in half so that we don't have to clean as much every night. And the things with little parts, they don't, they're harder to sanitize. So my point in giving you the school example is, I felt so much better after that call when they told me exactly what they were doing and how they were doing it, and the new resources and the investment they're making and the priority they're making safety for our children, right? I had all this anxiety and I said, okay, wait, no, they're doing a lot of stuff. They're doing the best they can. This is great, right? So just make sure that you have this banner of safety everywhere in your recruiting, in your onboarding. Make sure your managers are reminding people, telling the staff that are still there or that are coming back, here's what all we're doing, right? Face shields, masks, all that kind of stuff too. Plexiglass, they're putting a bunch of plexiglass dividers in the classrooms and that type of stuff. So just put it out there. You know what's happening, but you got to put it out there and over communicate the safety things for people. So it also is going to help you build more trust with your folks by putting that safety stuff out there, by being more transparent about, here's what we're doing and what we're investing, right? You don't have to tell them how many thousands of dollars you're investing in PPE, but just telling them, like, look, we're making a big investment in safety and we're taking this very, very seriously. So that'll help reduce fear as well. Then also, again, this is something we've been teaching for a long time, but it is critical right now. Check in with the new hires. Check in with them, because maybe they have a safety concern that they're not bringing to HR, but they're sitting there with anxiety about it. And you could address it if you go to them and say, hey, how are things going? Any concerns, any suggestions of how we can make this, your station safer or your team safer or anything like that? So don't hesitate to go talk to the people and check in, because otherwise, if they don't have the guts to come tell you about it, they're thinking, oh, I don't want to be squeaky wheel or whatever, then they'll just quietly quit without telling you what they're concerned about. It may be safety. It may be their supervisor. It may be something totally different. The schedule. I thought the schedule would work for me. It's actually not. Like, after doing it for 2 weeks, this schedule's not working for me. So especially if you're in recruiting or HR, I definitely recommend, and ops leaders as well, check in with the new hires within the first week or first couple days, and every week for the first couple months to make sure that they're not thinking about bolting. Okay. You can really mitigate a lot of the risk there if you check in with them personally, one-on-one. Hey, how's it going? Okay. All right. So, any other suggestions or concerns about the onboarding process? What have you guys done? If you could just either unmute or type something in the chat, what else have you done on the onboarding side that really is helping make it a better new hire experience? Anybody? Another one that comes to mind for us too is making videos. So some of you may be doing a little bit of your onboarding virtually and making some great videos for that. Or if you don't want people on site training literally side by side because of the distancing, can you make a video of the person running that machine or troubleshooting a problem, things like that? Because you could then show some of those videos or make the videos available, at least on your intranet or on your YouTube page or however you do that, make those videos available. And that could help with training and refreshers. Yeah, Carly.
Hey, Cara. One thing our company did, which is, it's pretty involved, but we did a day in the life series of multiple different jobs. So it was actually really cool because it gave us the chance to recognize some of our great people who've been here for a long time, but it's also something we use through multiple aspects. But one of them is to include the YouTube link on our job postings. So when an applicant applies, they can literally see a 90-second snippet of someone on the job and what they're doing. So they immediately see like the equipment they're using, that they're exposed to the elements, the warehouse setting,
Yes.
different things like that. And we've gotten a lot of really good feedback from that. And then we also started sending a postcard. The supervisor sends a postcard right when they offer the job. So they just have to fill in like a little bitty section saying, hey, welcome to the team. Looking forward to having you on your first day.
Yeah.
And then the front side is a picture of like our largest diameter of pipe. And it says, welcome to something bigger. So just trying to give the idea that it's not just a job, like we're looking for long-term thinking people.
Yes. Oh, that's fantastic. That's all fantastic. I'm curious, did your day in the life videos, have you had those for a while, or are those a post-COVID?
So we've only had them about 6 to 9 months, but
Okay.
what's really cool is we did a video showing everything we've done to protect.
Yes.
It was a video for our customers showing everything we're doing to protect our team and protect customers to avoid cases. And they were able to use a ton of footage from the day in the life videos. So this company put it together in like 3 days just because we happened to do these videos over the last few months.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah, it's cool.
fantastic. So I do love that. I think there are a few great ideas there. One, of course, the day in the life is just a great recruiting tool in general to show people what that job is really like, especially because you guys know this, you've heard this, that a lot of people think manufacturing is dirty. And, some jobs might be, but there are a lot of positions and a lot of our buildings and facilities that are not at all. It's very high tech. It's very clean, that type of thing. And so just showing the video tour or following somebody around, like she's saying, that's fantastic for recruiting. And I would do the same for COVID, post-COVID, and say, worried about going back to work? Well, you don't have to be if you come to our company, because look at everything we've done, and even just a list of things is not, it's great, but it's not as strong as show me what you've done. Show me the plexiglass dividers. Show me that everybody's wearing masks. Show me what's happening, that you put the tape down, to keep people separated, things like that, or what you've done in the break room, all of those things. So yeah, Carly, thank you so much for suggesting that. I see another one. Jess, did you catch that chat?
Yes, we've got FOM who said that they've increased the number of touches with a new employee. They're scheduled at 15 days, 30, 45, 60, 75, and 90 days of employment.
Nice.
Which is fantastic. And then Brianne, who's in the cruise industry, said that they're sharing videos of where they'll live on board.
Okay.
And so they're changing that structure as well, and they've created a welcome video too.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, good ideas. Good ideas. All right. We've got just a few more minutes here. I really want to make sure that we touch on, from a retention standpoint, the most bang for your buck on retention strategies is make your managers better. Okay. You have got to invest in your supervisors and managers and make sure, Ryder's giving us an applause, thanks. Yes, you've got to make sure that you are really putting the right people into those roles and that they truly understand today's new workforce, that they're given the leadership tools to be successful in their jobs. We have for years promoted people into positions without giving them those tools to be successful. And so we really have to make sure that we're giving them, assessments so they understand their own style. If you haven't done DISC yet, that's what we love, is the DISC behavioral styles, because I find that people over, I'm going to say 45, 50 years old, people over that age, they're like, oh yeah, I've done them all. DISC, Myers-Briggs, a predictive index, I'm a purple owl, I've done all these things, right? And so they have had that, but that's because the assessments were really popular in the 90s and the early 2000s when they were getting into leadership positions. But then in the 2000s, companies cut. They cut all the training and development and just pushed people into promotion saying, figure it out. And now that has come back to bite us later because we've put people into positions without giving them those tools to be successful. So if your folks don't understand their own style, if they don't understand the style of other people around them, then we really have to educate and train them on that type of thing. I was very lucky that early in my career, I had a mentor who said to me, when you go talk to this person, make sure you ask how her weekend was first before you talk about anything work related. Like ask how her grandkids are, her, weekend, that kind of thing, because she wants to know that you care about her as a person. Where this other person, if you need something from her, do not chit chat, because she will turn around and say, did you need something? I'm busy. Right? So that's what I'm talking about, different styles, right? We have introvert, extrovert, we have more analytical people versus the gut decision makers and things like that, task oriented, process oriented. And a lot of folks, they just see the world through their lens and they don't realize why there are all these different styles and different approaches to coming to work and communicating and managing and things like that. So make sure that you're really making the case for your managers to have assessments. Assessments are great for hiring too, but the management is where I see you actually get the most bang for your buck with assessments, is once the managers realize those different styles. Also, any kind of leadership development, any leadership development programs, we have several of those, around retention, around generations, which is one of our specialties, but making sure that they understand today's new workforce and that they're getting continuous education, coaching, development over time. Because I will say it again, it does not matter how great your recruiting is. If your managers and supervisors are not effective, you're dead in the water, folks. Okay, that's it. That they are going to set the tone for your culture. They are going to set the reality for your retention, because companies don't retain people. The managers retain people. They are the most influential on whether somebody stays or goes. So please make sure that is an investment that your company is taking very seriously. I think some more chat stuff came in. Jess, can you get me updated?
Yes, Kayla had another idea here that I wanted to just announce to the group. And if you don't have your chat bar up, you can pull that up and read it. But she says that on day one, when they have lunch with the new hires, they invite some senior leaders to join them. And I think that there's a lot of power in showing the importance of that individual on day one. So I love that idea, Kayla.
Right. Mary's talking about stay interviews. We are a huge fan of stay interviews. As Jess mentioned earlier, we have a website called magnetvault.com. And in there, we have a stay interview packet of kind of some questions we've adapted and some how-tos. If you're not familiar with stay interviews, that is, you guys know what exit interviews are, right? After they're on their way out. A stay interview is really checking in with them throughout their time, at your organization, and checking in on how's the company doing? How are we doing? Is this a great place to work? Are your managers effective in their roles? What frustrates you? What gets you excited to come back tomorrow? That kind of stuff. So great. I'm glad that you're doing that, Mary. We've seen that as a huge success for a lot of companies. Doing that as well. Also, Kat says they've done DISC for everybody. Very eye-opening to understand the differences, even among the 4 shifts. That's interesting. So awesome. All right. Well, we've got just a couple minutes here. So instead of me continuing to blab, is there anything else that you guys wanted to ask or were hoping that we would cover today? And I'm going to throw this link back in the chat bar for you. Magnetvault.com is where you can get that. There's also the cost of turnover calculator and some other downloadable resources. Any other questions or ideas that you guys have done to help with recruiting and retention in this post-COVID craziness that we're having today? Anything else? How to prove to our supervisors this is important. Okay, great. Thanks for asking, Alex. Everybody has different mindsets, but it's really important to talk about the facts. And if you see that people are leaving from that supervisor's team, we encourage you to make it, you've heard WIFM, what's in it for me? So instead of saying, it'd be better for the company, Joe, if you would look at this new hire sheet, or if you would treat your people better, right? We can't just say like, it'd be better for us, or I need you to reduce your turnover, or, be nicer to your people. But instead, what's in it for you is, hey, Joe, I know you're picking up a lot of the extra burden right now because you guys are short-staffed, and we have implemented these tools for you. We've created these tools that we're seeing work for other supervisors, right? The supervisors who really take these sheets seriously, or who are checking in with their new hires, or those types of things, they're getting great results and they're able to keep their new hires longer. So I just wanted to talk to you about, why is it that you're not using these sheets? Is there something you'd like me to change on the sheets that would make it more effective for you? So anytime you want somebody to change their behavior, we really have to put ourselves in their shoes for a minute, acknowledge their reality. Look, I totally get it. You are inundated. You are, completely overburdened right now and all that. I want to help you. So here's some things I've tried that I'm not seeing you use, which is fine if they're not useful to you, but how else can I help you? And how can we work together to get this team to stick around, right? And then, this may be harsh, but I personally think if they're not using your resources and they don't take that situation or that conversation to heart, they're not in the right role. That's just not the right person to be in that leadership position. So maybe if they're a great technical person, oh my gosh, well, you are the best plastic injection molding supervisor ever because you know how to troubleshoot the problems. Well, how about you become the plastic injection molding technical advisor and you don't manage any people? And we'll put someone else in charge of the people and make you the go-to troubleshooting technical guy, right? That's another opportunity there. If they're just not the right person in that role, we got to do some shakeup and move some people around, because you can't afford for that person to chase your folks away. So I did want to mention, I just found out about from one of our clients, a great software if your company is in a position, you know, you're large enough to do this and you're in a position financially to do this, I'm really loving Checkster for several reasons. CHECK, like writing a check, Checkster, STER.com. They have some great tools for onboarding, hiring. They actually do exit interviews, but in a much more effective way to gather data. Thanks, Jess. And so anyway, it's just a tool that I'm totally falling in love with right now, and have been doing some demos with them. So check that out if you've been looking for some better data on the hiring process and the onboarding process and things like that. I'm really liking their dashboards and how they handle both the recruiting and the retention side of things. So let me look at my notes, see if there was anything else. This one. Oh, please know, if you are not familiar with this, you guys know that on top of COVID, we've also had the social and racial unrest that's happening in our community. And so I just want to make sure that everyone is aware of Juneteenth, which is Friday. It's called Juneteenth. And a lot of organizations are making that a holiday. It's a celebration of the day that slaves were freed many, many years ago. And so please understand that the Black community and your Black employees, probably that day is going to be a really, really big deal to folks, not just this year, but in future years. So go ahead and put it on your calendar, put like at least a couple weeks notice on there, because I'm seeing a lot of organizations not just recognize the day, you know, on social media and to their employees. Some are making it a new holiday. Some are giving folks days off to go volunteer that day, just things like that. So I just wanted to bring that up. I know it's 10 o'clock, 10:01, but wanted to make sure that that's another thing that's just on your radar, because that matters for recruiting and retention. What you're doing for any people of color that are on your team or that you're trying to recruit, as we're trying to improve diversity and inclusion as well. So just something wanted to throw out there. I can stick around for a few minutes if anybody has questions. Was this helpful? Yes, no, okay. Oh, awesome. I got 2 thumbs up from a few of you. Thanks. Okay.
And thank you
Fantastic.
so much to Cindy Reed as well to help put all this together. We really appreciate it. We thank you all so much for coming today to the session.
Yay. Keep in touch, everybody. We'll send you some resources afterwards, but let me know if you have any questions. So,
Thank you.
Yep,
bye.
thank you guys.